Hello, I'm Rachel Green, and this is my EDTC 615 final. I currently teach 8th grade in Montgomery County Public Schools. Throughout the semester of EDTC 615, my team and myself worked throughout the data action plan model very carefully and reflectively. My team was made up of Jill, Karen, and Lisa. Lisa's students were the students we focused on for our data action plan throughout the semester. Lisa teaches 5th grade in Florida, and we focused on having her students increase their Florida State Standard Assessment scores through analyzing text-based writing and other literacy aspects. Throughout the data action plan meetings, I've learned more than I thought I could about analyzing data. Our first data meeting was to talk about what did we notice, what did we wonder about particular data. I actually use notice and wonder statements in my daily teaching when teaching a new topic to my students and asking them what they notice or wonder about a particular problem. The students always respond in creative statements, and it was nice to do notice and wonder statements as a teacher. It was also very eye-opening to notice and wonder about other teachers' data. It is one thing to notice and wonder about your own data, but when observing others, more questions arise. During data meeting 2, our group triangulated the data and chose one data set and created our exploratory question as follows. What instructional strategies can we integrate into all subject areas to help students successfully draw evidence from literacy or informational text to support research, analysis, reflection from the Florida State Standards? After identifying and changing our exploratory question many times, we identified articles from our own teaching that would classify as an instructional gap or as a learning gap. We put them into the artifact tracking sheet from Venables as seen here. Data meeting 3 is where we really dove into determining learning gaps and instructional gaps, and how we could relate the learning gaps back to the instructional gaps. After identifying many learning and instructional gaps, under one learning gap, our role as teachers needed to find out what we could do to change that. After linking the instructional gaps and learning gaps, our group created SMART goals for our students to achieve success. SMART goals are used within my school often, but usually in objective form. SMART meaning specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Unfortunately, by the time the class ended, our team would not have known if we achieved our SMART goal or not because it aligned to Florida State tests, whose scores are not released for many months. Data meeting 4 was the hardest meeting for our group. It was difficult to identify a timeline within instructional practices that we were going to be implemented. Since Lisa was in the middle of state testing and would not be able to find out the results of our evaluation metric, our group was confused on what to do. If I was using this data action plan, data meeting 4 specifically, within my classroom, I would have picked data from a year before, started the new school year with the data action plan centering around a specific unit, so that I could make evaluation metrics that would be able to be achieved or attempted. Our evaluation metric as a group was that 80% of Lisa's students would increase their text-based writing score by at least 10% compared to their grade 4 writing scores. Data meeting 5 was my favorite data meeting. Our group was able to dissect the failed lessons and rebuild what we thought would best meet the needs of all of our students. Being able to work with another middle school math teacher was beneficial in the fact that we were both able to guide our lessons for the students that we teach. Although teaching math does not relate to text-based writing scores, there are many word problems in math that students need to be able to decode to solve the problem correctly. Karen and I planned a mini unit around text-based writing answers and related it to science, technology, and math. I was curious when this semester started what I could actually learn about analyzing data. I felt I had already had a ton of experience with notice and wonder statements, identifying next steps, and briefly talking about reteaching when students did not know or score well on a particular topic. In our words, relating learning gaps and instructional gaps I felt I had practice with. I liked how this data action plan was proactive instead of reactive. This was the largest thing I've learned from this entire cycle. It is better to be proactive, even from year to year, with data and student success, rather than just looking at data when it is not good. Working in a cohort was also very helpful. Last year in my school, I was constantly analyzing data with my principal, but always wondered what to do next. If I had this course a year earlier, I would have known what steps to take. The other positive was working with someone in my group with 8th grade math experience. Throughout my graduate school program, this is the first time I was able to work with another math teacher. The class felt more useful for my future and to talk about how this could be used in math. There are many strengths I feel like I've gained from this experience. One would be, first, I feel like I could run a data action plan with my cohort or any cohort and successfully lead them through the process. I felt that I've learned the detailed steps of Venable's data action plan and would be able to implement it with any content area. As an area for growth, I would like to be able to convince my cohort at school that this is a great tool we should implement. I feel as if convincing others that this process matters and is worth it is something I would have trouble doing.